Welcome back to the Broker Power Up podcast, the AIME podcast for strategy, stories, and insights to help you close more loans. I'm Tommy Golightly, joined by Jonathon Haddad. How are you?
Oh man, Tommy, it's been a long week, dude.
It has.
I'm glad. I know we're filming this. It's going to be launched on Monday, but we are filming on a Friday today. And let me tell y'all, I cannot be more happy that it's Friday. But Tommy, we're getting crushed with smoke over
We
here
are.
between you and I from our friends over there in Canadian land, which I am dual citizen, or I should say was dual citizen. I'm not sure if I can say that anymore publicly. But no, so a lot of my family is from Canada. There is definitely down this way. Some of the Canadian wildfires have impacted, and yesterday we could not go outside at all. Like it smelled like a bonfire over here. I'm not sure what it was like over there in Jersey for you.
Yeah, it was still rough. It smelled like a campfire. I don't think it was that bad, but it was. I got outside briefly to take my cats to the vet, but that's about it. And but the Phillies, the Philadelphia Pirate baseball team played their game, and there were pictures from the stadium where normally you can see downtown because it's just a straight shot. You couldn't see the city.
I can't believe they let them play. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Listen,
They delayed it. They like moved it up because they were like, it's going to get worse. So let's try and get the game in before it gets worse.
you know what though? I guess for $5 million a year, I might go outside.
Yeah. But then the fans, though,
I might go
fans. That's a stadium that fills usually like 40,000 people.
I wonder if it was slam too. I bet it was.
Because it's the first game back from the All-Star break.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, which was here in Philadelphia, which was also really cool. But
welcome to
I
business,
almost
my
went down.
friends. Is it worth shutting down? No, bring them out.
Keep going. Put on a mask. You'll be fine. Which is what some teams have been doing. They put on like the rebreather masks and they just play in that, which is also kind of crazy. But we have a lot going on today. We have the Broker Buzz, where we dive into the top posts of the week from the Brokers Are Best Facebook group and discuss what's trending, what's working, and what you need to know. Then we go into a sales pitch training and wrap things up, as always, with a story time from John. But first, as we start every podcast, a fortune cookie. And today's fortune, that was the cleanest break. Today's fortune, stay open to the value of constructive criticism.
I
love it.
Yeah, my favorite. So here, we might have talked about this before. So my whole take on constructive criticism is I used to, and I still do a little bit today, but especially when I was younger, if somebody that I didn't know very well was just like, and look, you got to realize I grew up in corporate world very heavily on the mortgage side. So we had a lot of people that came in with big egos. It's just the reality. By the way, I was one of them. That's just what we were taught. You have to have a big ego, be A-type. But people would walk in that have never worked with me before, and they'd sit down and be like, you know what? I think that you could do a better job of X, Y, or Z. And I would get so angry. Y'all, I've told you the story before where I wanted to punch one of my mentors in the face from that perspective. However, when it's somebody that like is with you every day, they're in the trenches, you respect them, they're a colleague, y'all are pros to each other, you guys are having great conversations. Y'all, I cannot tell you how much I crave that kind of feedback. I tell people all the time, even Tommy and I, we constant back and forth feedback, very direct. He has a certain skill set that I don't have. So when he's giving me feedback on that skill set, I have enough trust in him at this point. We've built a really good relationship, not just office related, right? But outside of the office. So when I'm getting feedback from him, I don't get defensive. It's like, I really appreciate that. Okay, that's something I really need to consider. I didn't even walk through that or think about that. So for me, constructive criticism is everything. But from the people that are in the trenches with me, that see what I'm doing, that understand how I operate, and that are really wanting to help push me forward. So that's my take on it, Tommy. Not sure what yours is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the key word here is constructive, because the criticism needs to be constructive to have value. If it's just criticism for criticism, there's nothing and there's no action to take. Like, this is bad. It's like, okay, well, what's bad about it? I don't like it. Okay, well, what don't you like? Like there's no response that's like, okay, now I'll take it down this path. And I think what you said also is it's the position that the person who is giving the criticism is in. Like, are they a team member that you've been working with and you trust and respect their opinion, or are they some commenter on Facebook?
Oh God, don't get me
So,
started.
right. So it's where the constructive making sure it is constructive and that there is when you do give criticism to your peers, make sure that you don't just tell them that you don't like it, give them a direction to go. It's like, yes, but it's just without saying, because if you just say I don't like it, well then what are they supposed to do? What are they just take a shot in the dark of how to fix it? You have to give them a direction. And I think that also comes with leadership as well, and like criticizing both up and down the chain, where like I have my team, and when I never tell them, hey, I don't like this, and leave it at that. Or I very rarely do I have to say, I don't remember the last time I had to say I don't like this, but it's usually like I'll say I like this, but what if we, and then make it sure it's like a we, and then because we are a team and we are serving AIM, and so we want the best for AIM, and as a team we will get there. And so I think just uh, having a direction to send the person on our team, like, just here's what I suggest we do, or like here's the slight change, here's the little minute to make it 10% better. And then leading up, it's just, hey, saw this, just wanted to make sure uh, we're okay with this. Also, here's why I'm may not be okay with it. And then just to put it into a leader's mind of, this is why I felt the need to bring this up to you, if that makes sense.
It does. It does, man. Like you want to make sure you're circling back on whatever that situation is and driving that point. You don't want to just end it at like,
No.
yeah, like
You need to drive the conversation.
All right, see you
And
later. Yeah.
it's what we talk about it all the time. It's controlling the conversation and driving it, and
Yes.
not driving it to a dead end.
Especially as the leader.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a fun one. But we got to dive into the broker buzz with our first question of the week. Has anyone run into a similar situation? On a conventional loan, if a 3-bathroom property has the master bathroom gutted to the frames, can a borrower use a conventional loan to buy this? The other 2 bathrooms are normal and working. The contract would be priced as if the bathroom not complete. Thanks.
So look, the appraiser is going to mark it either as an as-is appraisal or subject to appraisal. And if there's a bunch of studs showing and it sounds like there's a lot of safety hazards here, yeah, it's going to be a problem. There are some instances to where they'll mark it as is because you have enough functional bathrooms. There's also certain products like home style and renovation loans that you could also go down the path of, which they would allow you to go down this path since you know they're going to fix it. But yeah, it's all going to be based off the appraiser. If that property, that master is gutted completely, it sounds like it'll be difficult simply because there's going to be some hazards there. Just from my experience and probably yours, if you think about all the different times construction has occurred, that hazard is what is going to cause that appraiser to potentially mark it as subject to, which means you're going to have to get it fixed.
Absolutely. And our next question. Any HELOC options if the home is already listed for sale on the market? Borrowers never listen. Thank you in advance. So would this just be for like a short time?
Yeah. So, okay. I know it's frustrating, but like, let's not, we don't want to categorize all the borrowers as they don't listen. Most do listen, but every once in a while, a borrower tries to pull a fast one and say, I didn't know, but we did tell them. And I've been there too. So I don't know many HELOCs, but there are bridge loan options. So if you're not familiar with the bridge loan option, one of our partners, Windsor, has an incredible bridge loan product, which will give you a solid 9 months for your consumers to leverage the more than a HELOC would too, but leverage more equity of the home that they're going to be potentially selling. to buy that potential new home, which is what it sounds like they're trying to do based off the situation. So look into the bridge loan. I think it makes way more sense in this instance too. Plus, they understand you're going to pay it off. Don't forget, some HELOCs also have EPOs, so don't set yourself up for a weird situation here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And our next one, disability income scenario. I have a borrower, the mother, who is on Social Security income looking to buy a new primary residence. Her daughter is paralyzed and is receiving Social Security disability income. The daughter's credit is shot, so there is no chance of having her on the loan. I asked a few underwriters and am being told I cannot use the daughter's income to help qualify, even though the mother is the caretaker. Daughter is 45 years old. I am told they need to have Social Security update the payee of the daughter's income payable to the mother. Is there any other possibility here? This is for an FHA loan.
So, one, I understand the circumstance is very severe here, obviously. So please understand, I'm not taking light of the circumstance. It's just, regardless of circumstance, we have to look at the guidelines, and they are, unfortunately, they are correct. So remember, it's all risk based and based off of the ability to repay the loan, right? That's the investor, how they're qualifying. So circumstances aside, no matter how severe, you would have to move the payee situation there, which is doable. That's happened. I've seen that on so many Social Security cards where they're they're a caregiver for somebody. It's right on the statement. It's on the award letter. You have to call Social Security offices. It is doable. I've seen it more times than I could possibly imagine or even tell you on this call. But again, the circumstance, right? They are qualifying X person to repay X home. In the event, God forbid, something is to happen to her mother, that is what they are trying to understand and figure out is there going to be an opportunity to repay this? And right now, based on the current structure, the answer is no, because that income technically is not going to the mother, even though she is the caregiver based off of what you've told us. But there is opportunities for you to call, and they can change the verbiage on the Social Security award letter to give you that opportunity to add that mother, which is basically paid to the mom. Or it's basically will say this is paid to X person on behalf of X person because of X. That's how it'll be written and said. So call the Social Security offices, tell them to get on top of it. There is an opportunity if you do it that way, but right now, as it currently stands, it's going to be far and few between.
Awesome. And our final question for the week. Who are you using for digital asset verification? I currently use Account Check, but I'm having major tech issues and all my orders have been deleted. Still no fix on their end with tech support, and I'm now looking to switch providers.
Yeah, so basically the opportunity to pull digital assets online, you want to always work with somebody that's GSE approved, which is basically Fannie, Freddie will accept the assets. If Account Check, that's a pretty big one, not working, you can look with Stripe, Plaid. Some might be a little more expensive, but it really is worth it, especially for something such as confirming assets and not running into tech problems. Like, this is costing you time and efficiency. So Account Check has been pretty reliable in the past, but Plaid and Stripe are two very good options.
Absolutely. All right. If you want your question answered on the Broker Power Up podcast, be sure to be an AIME member in the Brokers Are Best Facebook group and use the hashtag Broker Power Up, and I'll be sure to get it answered here on the podcast. We'll be right back after this ad with some sales training and story time with John.
Fuse 2026 touches down in Austin, Texas from September 24th through the 26th, and this will be the biggest one yet. We are bringing the independent mortgage community together for 3 days of connection, strategy, and real solutions that are tangible and easy to implement that day. As always, Fuse is an event built for brokers by brokers, and this year's main stage is stacked with some of the biggest names and sharpest minds, both from within and beyond the mortgage industry. Not to mention the VA Summit and the incredible WMN Summit. Denim and diamonds this year for WMN, plus dozens of breakout sessions and an exhibit hall packed with partners passionate about pushing the industry forward. And you heard it right. We are giving away a truck. Yes, iced by Cake, live on the main stage this year. And the best part, every single AIME member has a chance to take it home. If you aren't a member, sign up today to claim your Fuse ticket included with your membership. Annual plans start at $199 per year. Scan the QR code to learn more. We'll see you in Austin.
I'm waiting to become a better salesperson. John, what do you got?
So, I want to take this one. I have a few, Tommy, that I kind of been going through my head
Sure.
as of late. But the one thing that constantly stays through my mind is your ability to stay emotionally regulated inside of this space, and also your ability to use your words effectively. Um, that puts you in a very good light when it comes to the consumers or handling any kind of problem or any kind of situation. So, I've been at this space now for 14 years. And for me, one of the advantages that I had coming in was being in the direct to consumer side of it was the abundant amount of leads that came in the door. The whole idea was take as many leads as you can until you either sink or you swim. And the leads that we got up front were not the high quality leads up front. It was basically these are clients that have already talked to somebody. These are people that were interested 60 days ago. But the idea was prove your worth, prove that you're willing to try and do anything that you possibly can. And see, my first entire month on the banking floor at 22 years old, I wrote 40 loans. And I'll never forget my first 2 weeks on the floor. I only had a couple states, rates had just gone up, and I was barely getting phone calls. And I remember thinking, like, do I really want to do this? The calls that I would get, the clients didn't want to talk to me. They were frustrated. I was brand new to the industry. I was 21 years old, turning 22 soon. And I was like, oh my gosh, I quit bartending to do this. This is petrifying right now. And I would sit there and I would sit and hit the button. We had a green button that we would hit, and the calls would come in. It would take some time, and the calls would come in. And as these calls would come in, I'd just get frustrated and more frustrated and more frustrated and more frustrated until finally one day, before I said to myself, okay, this is it. I'm either going to figure this out or I'm going to quit. I gave myself 30 days. I said 30 days of not leaving your desk, of getting in the office at 8 and leaving at midnight every single day. That is exactly what I did and set myself up. Now, here was the biggest difference for me. I told myself when I started to get these calls, instead of rushing through these calls, I was going to slow myself down and start asking different questions. Now, there wasn't Chat GPT yet at the time, but we had Google. So I go on to Google or I go on to YouTube and I just start typing videos or watching things, or wherever the client lived, for example. Right away, I type that into Google just to see what the weather was, see if there was a monument nearby, see if there is anything historical about the place. How can I strike up different conversations? And here's what I learned. My leads didn't get better. My conversations got tremendously better. My ability to control the conversation and ask different questions, as opposed to starting off conversations and give you an example, Tommy, of, hey, you know what? How are you doing today? And the clients would say, I'm doing terrible. You're the 100th call I've got. Well, I conditioned myself to be ready for that. And now instead I would say, hey, Tommy, what number call am I? Am I 99 or 100? And how
101.
frustrated are you right now?
9.
And y'all, right away, the client would.
I would laugh at that. I would laugh at that.
So some did laugh, but not all laughed, right?
Yeah.
But I got a sigh, which was different than click. So I said, hold on. I'm doing something right now. And look at you smiling because you're watching it unfold in my head. And this was me at 21 years old going, wait, it's not a lead problem. This is a John Haddad problem. This is I need to learn how to ask questions problem. And so now I'm paying attention to their triggers and the clients getting frustrated and angry with me. And I'm learning how to navigate that conversation. And so when clients would say things to me and start yelling, hey, I need to pull your credit to make sure you qualify. Nope, not giving you my social security number. I would start to do things and say, Tommy, hey, what do you do for a living? Do you mind if I ask? And they
do marketing.
Marketing. Hey, Tommy, I'm sure you do such a wonderful job at your craft. And there are certain parts of marketing that have just a skill set that only you know how to do.
It's true.
And for example, if I stepped into your job tomorrow, how good do you think I would really be at it? Realistically, Tommy, you think I'd be good at what you do every day?
I'd love to see it.
No, Tommy.
I'd love to see it.
The answer is no, Tommy, and I know that, and you know that. And so
No,
all I'm asking is that I spend 12 hours a day doing what I do. I love what I do. And I'm telling you that this is one part of the process that's not as big of a deal as you're making it out to be. What it does allow me to do is X, Y, and Z, and put you and your family in the best potential spot to make sure that y'all are saving money on a monthly basis, which is exactly what you're asking me to do. So just like I wouldn't jump into your job and do it all the way through, I'm asking you to just give me the opportunity to help you and your family. Please go ahead with your date of birth. And y'all, the amount of times where I just pivot right in. All right, my date of birth is this. All right, and your social. And then you start learning. Yeah. Hold on, now I have confidence. I know how to pull credit now. And so listen, my tip to all of you is maybe it's not the leads, maybe it's the questions. And some of you might say, well, John, I ask good questions. And then I would challenge you and say, do you listen to your calls? Do you record your calls? We were forced to record our calls. And I am so happy we were forced to record because we were forced to listen to them. And let me tell you, the first 100 times I wanted to vomit.
That's a skill. Most people can't listen to themselves talk.
I hated it. But guess what? My goodness, that I learned so much about my cadences and my habits and the way I speak and how quickly I can speak sometimes. And I have to learn to slow myself down. And then you learn to ask different questions a different way based on who you're talking to, depending on the state that they're in. Some might say, John, that sounds crazy. Does it really sound crazy? If I'm talking to good old Betty Sue in Georgia, deep South Georgia, who's lived in Georgia, her family's been there for 200 years, and she speaks very calmly and quietly, versus talking to good old Frank in New York who's ready to run through a wall every single day. Why is that a problem that I'm a chameleon and I learn how to have a different conversation with each person? Are you telling me I should talk to good old Frank the same way I talk to good old Betty Sue?
You have to
adjust,
meet them where they're at.
You must meet them where you're at because you are the one selling a product, not the other way around. You are selling a product. So y'all, before we say it's the leads, before we say this sucks, why don't we say, can I ask a better question first? Can I change my demeanor just a little bit? So that is my challenge to all of you today. Anytime you get denied, write down why you got denied. And the next time it happens, ask a different question. Don't just ignore the situation. That is what I got for y'all today, my friends.
One thing I want to just highlight is I think the path, or just pull out of that, is how you mentioned, like, you started with complimenting me on my skills and then almost asserting yourself, being like, well, I'm that of loans. Like, I'm that of my craft. And so basically being like, you do you, I'm going to do me, but me doing me is helping you with what you want.
And Tommy, you know what? Thank you for saying that. I want to give one more example here.
Yeah.
You nailed it, because I'm reversing it in a way that's logically making sense. Now, my son, okay, my kids, but my son is the one I just had the combo with. So I say my son, but my daughters know this too. My son, okay, right now they're at the age where, like, they like to say no. Okay. We even though sometimes it gets annoying, I embrace the no. So the other day, I told my son no to something. He wanted a popsicle. I said no to my son. And he started to get a little spastic, okay? He started to get a little upset. I looked at him. I said, Elias. And I got low to the ground, eyeball to eyeball with my son. I said, I need you to look at me. And some people, John, this is intense. It is intense because this is how valuable and how much it means to me. I looked at him. I said, Elias, the other day, when I asked you to go grab something for me, you told me no, right? He said, yeah. I said, so how come you're allowed to say no and I don't get upset, but when I say no, you get upset? And he looks at me and he goes, I don't know. I said, so is dad allowed to say no to you? He said, yes. I said, okay, are you allowed to say no to dad? He said, yes. I said, okay, we don't get to whine and cry about it when the other person says no. And even my almost 3-year-old son grasped that concept and he stopped whining at that point in time. He stopped. Why? Because logically, even for my 3-year-old son, logic kicked in at 3 years old. It's not a lot of logic yet. They're very young, right? So it left pretty quickly. I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all that now it works every time. What I'll tell you is in that moment, logic kicked in and my son said, okay, I agree with you on this. I'm going to relax now. And he relaxed. You do the exact same thing for your consumer. So I'm glad you brought that up because that
I
sparked that
love
memory.
that. And also, if it hasn't happened yet, when does the but why?
Oh, that's already, dude, it's so crazy right now. The amount of whys happen, it's unbelievable.
But why?
It's
I love that.
It's me too, but my gosh.
I love that for you. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Broker Power Up podcast. If you found today's tips helpful, do us a favor. Hit the like button to let us know you enjoyed it, which helps even more people see this content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified every time we drop new content. Share the video with a fellow broker who could use a power up. Remember to lead by example, to lift each other up, to grow together, and most importantly, close more loans. Until next time, keep powering up.